So Mandela's nephew and king of AbaThembu Dalindyebo has triggered a massive South Africa-Israel diplomatic fallout. In this video, I'm going to show you what that's about. But if you stay with me past my excitement to my biblical reaction, you'll see what's going on here. Because as you know, South Africa will prosper. You ready? All right, press like and let's go. Let's start 5 months ago.
An Israeli delegation met AbaThembu King Dalindyebo to discuss providing aid for the victims of the recent floods in the Eastern Cape. Scores of people died and many who lost their homes are still in temporary shelters.
So that was 5 months ago, but about 5 days ago, an Israeli diplomat put this post up on X. In Mthatha, together with King Dalindyebo, more than 50 traditional leaders from across the Eastern Cape, their interest in cooperation with Israel, leaders are aware that access to clean water is not only a humanitarian issue, but a prerequisite for education, health, and economic growth. So now 2 days ago, the former Israeli ambassador, whose post we just saw, went to meet with Dalindyebo, and the firestorm began.
Eastern Cape Premier Oscar Mabuyane described the bypassing of protocols by King Dalindyebo and Israel as mischievous. Mabuyane says authority to negotiate cooperation resides with the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, not with the King. He says he has instructed the health MEC to investigate how departmental officials reportedly accepted donations without following proper channels.
Premier Mabuyane rejects the sinister deal between His Majesty the King and Israel and views these actions as an attempt by the Israeli government to undermine the sovereign right of the Republic of South Africa to manage its international affairs. The authority to engage such cooperation resides with the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, and His Majesty the King has no mandate to interfere in the management of hospitals, including the sourcing of foreign assistance.
Both the AbaThembu King and Israel delegation say the priority of the visit was to deliver services such as access to clean water, quality health care, and to create job opportunities for rural communities.
I believe the best form of freedom is access to good health, is access to good services, is access to a protected nation, the protection by professional medical systems.
We came together in order to identify villages in which we can bring clean water to the people. We also look to cooperate in the field of agriculture, having this rich land that you are having here. I hope that soon we will see also cooperation in the field of health with the hospital here in Mthatha.
The Nelson Mandela Academic Hospital representatives were excited about the collaboration between the Israel government and the kingdom, and they believe this will benefit the health sector in Mthatha.
We agreed in terms of collaboration. We'll have to write our needs in terms of various areas, whether it's infrastructure or capacity building in our specialty areas. Then we'll be looking forward into how to work with the Israelis.
Israel happens to be the very vital, essential stakeholder to assist us in terms of resources. So we agree that they are going to assist us in terms of machinery and equipment. We agree that they are going to assist us in terms of building or establishing state-of-the-art hospital within Mthatha to manage our king as part of his milestone.
The deal between Israel and the king has sparked different views in society.
If we are quarreling with Israel, we are actually fighting with ourselves. We are not here to fight with anyone, but having help from Israel is most powerful to us because they are coming up to us with something.
Closer to home has been the Zionist interest on AbaThembu monarch, with a visit by the ambassador, which has been reciprocated by the king and his delegation visiting occupied Palestine as a guest of the genocidal regime.
The ANC in the province says the meeting between King Dalindyebo and the Israeli delegation is a betrayal of the nation's long-standing support of Palestine.
Well, on Friday, just before the beginning of Shabbat, the Department of International Relations kicked Ariel Seidman out of the country and said, we need you out of here within 72 hours.
That's the top diplomat from the Israeli embassy who has been given 72 hours to vacate South Africa. And a number of issues that DIRCO has raised, among those being that there have been some messages that were undesirable directed at President Cyril Ramaphosa that they felt were worth declaring him persona non grata, saying that there have been a series of unacceptable violations of diplomatic norms and practices which pose a direct challenge to South Africa's sovereignty. The other violation was the failure to inform DIRCO of purported visits by senior Israeli officials, and this being in breach of the Vienna Convention, so most certainly leading them to this moment.
Okay, so they say because of some tweets and because of Vienna Convention. So let's look at the tweets. Last year, October, remember when some South Africans took a ship to go up to Gaza to get involved with the war that's going on there? President Ramaphosa said, bring them back now. Well, the Israeli embassy actually tweeted and said, Mr. President Cyril Ramaphosa, we trust DIRCO, which is international relations, has informed you that all South Africans who tried to enter illegally will be expelled tomorrow via Jordan. As always, it's the South African taxpayers who get the honor of paying for their fellow citizens' deportation tickets. So they just reminded him, no, you'll get your people back, but just remember, your poor citizens are going to pay for the bringing them back. Another tweet from the Israeli embassy. Do you remember when President Ramaphosa was talking about Trump and he says boycott politics don't work when Trump was not coming to the G20 summit and Trump's spokesperson said he was running his mouth? Well, the Israeli embassy also tweeted and said a rare moment, something that never happens. So unusual that we get wisdom and diplomatic clarity from President Ramaphosa. Boycott politics doesn't work. We totally agree, dear sir. So South Africa wouldn't take that. You can't be sarcastic with our president. So get out of here within 72 hours. On the Vienna Convention, well, an expert says, get out of here.
There are two things that are coming out of the DIRCO statement. An insult to the head of state is always taken very seriously by the receiving state. There's no excuse for any diplomat to insult his or her host. That's fundamental in the field of diplomatic practice. Having said that, Alicia, the second one that Mr. Seidman failed to inform DIRCO about the purported visit of senior Israeli government. I don't know where did DIRCO get that in terms of the Vienna Convention. Unless they are confusing that with Article 10 of the Vienna Convention, that really spells out the movement of diplomats to the mission. Because you get a movement from the sending state now and then to perform various activities like auditing of the mission, looking at the compliance of the embassy and so on. It's not the expansion of the diplomatic mission. But if DIRCO, by saying that they are referring to the fact that there's been an expansion of the diplomatic mission, or people who are coming here and performing that within the diplomatic mission, it's a serious violation, and that is regulated. Sizes of missions are regulated under Article 11 of the Vienna Convention. So I don't know where did DIRCO get the question of purported visit, and I don't know what does that mean. But having said that, Alicia, the expulsion or declaring somebody persona non grata, invoking Article 9 of the Vienna Convention, is a very serious matter.
Well, the Jewish Board of Deputies in South Africa didn't take kindly to it. This is their response.
We're deeply disappointed and we're quite outraged, actually, at the fact that DIRCO has taken this momentous decision at a time when world events, and we are seeing world events occurring that are of such enormous significance. I give you for the example, as we speak, figures are that in Iran more than 30,000 people, more than 30,000 Iranian citizens are being massacred by their own government. As we speak, at a time of great global turmoil where people are being murdered around the world, DIRCO finds itself having the time and the energy to focus on expelling a member of the Israeli diplomatic corps in South Africa when it ignores all of these abuses around the world. To be honest, it feels to me, and I suspect it will feel to many other people, that the suggestion that some criticism of South Africa is sufficient to get a diplomat expelled from this country feels petty, and I don't think it comes out of context. We have seen in the last 3 years the South African government, and in particular the ANC DIRCO position, has consistently been one-sided in relation to everything that happens in Israel. This has been an ongoing escalation and an attempt really to demonize, firstly, the only Jewish state, and this is not happening out of context. It's not happening just in response to a few tweets. We're talking about a country that offered to bring water technology to the Eastern Cape, which desperately needs it. I think that the timing is not coincidental, that when a country that offers to bring water to an area that desperately needs it, that may inadvertently, I don't know, have embarrassed the South African government for not being able to do so, suddenly the South African government have decided to expel a member of the diplomatic corps. I'm not sure if that timing, I'm not making accusations, but the timing seems suspicious.
So then she points to the hypocrisy of South Africa in terms of 30,000 people get killed in Iran, you say nothing, but when there's a war in Gaza, you take us to court. So, is it 30,000? Well, right now, the numbers aren't clear, but it certainly is too many people of its own people that the Iranian government is mowing down. On the numbers,
we're seeing deaths in numbers that are unprecedented. I'm not convinced by some of the higher numbers of around 30,000 or so, partly because I don't see any basis for it. We can't completely rule it out, but it's very important to rely on somewhat verifiable information right now. And the numbers around 5,000 to 6,000 seem much more plausible and also seem to have a healthier methodology, but it could be higher than that, undoubtedly. And that in and of itself is an extremely high number of deaths. So even if it may not be 15 or 20, nevertheless, 5,000 to 6,000 deaths in just 3 days is an extremely high number.
So I don't personally know if there's a difference between a government mowing down 5,000 or 30,000 of their own citizens just for protesting. So Israel doesn't take it lying down. How do they respond? Embassy of Israel, Prime Minister Netanyahu and Foreign Minister Gideon Saar decided, following South Africa's false attack against Israel in the international arena and the unilateral baseless step taken against the Shah d'Affaires of Israel in South Africa, that South Africa's senior diplomatic representative, Minister Shaun Edward Beineveld, is persona non grata and must leave Israel within 72 hours. Additional steps will be taken in due course. So what's my take on this? Well, the take I'm going to give you is one that most people miss. Not because they're not very smart, not because they're not paying attention, but because it plays on our human instinct to protect what's ours, and politicians know this and always play it. And so I talk about it in the soft life. So I want to read you just one short paragraph of what happened in the 60s in China. There we go. So what happens when a politician fails and when their promises produce nothing? People begin to look for another leader. So even comrades inside the Chinese Communist Party started whispering, is Mao still the right man for the job? So Mao could feel his power slipping. Do you think he resigned? Admitted he was wrong? Of course not. What did he do? He launched the Cultural Revolution, used big slogans, find an enemy, blame the enemy for everything, fill your people with anger. What happened there? The angry youth who were called the Red Guard, they went wild, destroyed property, attacked everybody, and it was a big mess. So big, during the Cultural Revolution, millions were killed. If you want to think about how many people, just think of the whole population of the greater Johannesburg gone. But for Mao, the plan worked. He became popular again. His critics had been silenced, beaten, killed. Those who questioned his failures were gone. By the 70s, Mao had become an idol and a big superstar. And everyone in China was singing his praises. See, we are living in a time that is post-2024. The ANC got 40% of the vote and had to go into government through the GNU. But they made sure that they run DIRCO, international relations, on their own. Why? Because they know we are human beings, and every time they say sovereignty, we will unite behind the ANC, and they hope through this strategy to get back in power. Think of South Africa since 1994. How many times have we had this many enemies? Who did we take to court? Who did we keep poking? Who did we keep doing stuff that I spoke about in this video over here? And you'll realize that right now we do not have a Department of International Relations run by the government that we voted for. We have an international relations department captured by one party whom we did not give power to because we didn't give 51% to the ANC. Yet what is coming out of international relations are not decisions of the GNU, but decisions of the ANC, because the ANC has once again gotten into state capture, but this time they have captured DIRCO to use DIRCO to create as many enemies around as possible, because they know we will easily fall and start going on about who likes Trump, who hates Trump, who likes Israel, who hates Israel. And hopefully in pursuing all of this, either Trump or Israel or someone must take hard action against us so that the ANC can say, come on people, let's unite as a country and fight this. And guess what? In the process, the people who voted ANC out of power will not even see it that they've jumped back on the ANC side, because they have triggered the human feeling of self-protection, self-preservation, wanting to stand for your own independence, and not realizing that just like Mao, this is what politicians do when they lose power. They find a bigger enemy outside so that they can get the people in the country to now unite around the leader that has captured DIRCO and used DIRCO against what other GNU partners have agreed to. So this is an exciting announcement. For a limited time, I'm giving it to you free. Go down to the link and get your copy. This is my biblical reaction. The simple believes every word, believes every move, believes every operation, but the prudent considers well his steps. So I want to hear your thoughts below and see if you agree with me. Do you think the ANC has captured the international relations apart from its GNU partners and is using it to see if they can get anger out of South Africans, out of a sense of self-protection, self-preservation, wanting their independence not messed with, and they're using it to poke everyone so that Trump must just do something harsh. Israel must do something harsh so that we all stand up, and all of a sudden, the Ramaphosa we rejected in 2024 all of a sudden becomes our leader whom we must protect against foreign enemies. Do you agree? Am I stretching it too far? Let me hear your comment below. But no man can serve two masters, because either he'll love the one or hate the other, or he'll despise the one and honor the other. You cannot serve God and Karl Marx. Man, it's good to be back. Let's make history together. Cheers.